Hey there folks, welcome to the channel. I'm glad you could make it because we have got one big, beautiful sausage making show lined up for you today. We are going to be making patina 3 ways in a brand new dry curing cabinet that we just got. This is the very first project that we're throwing into the cabinet. The dry curing cabinet that you're going to see featured in today's episode comes from a company out of southern Italy, out by Calabria. That company's name is Stagionello. Now, if you're in this space and you already know who Stagionello is, the brand speaks for itself. But if you've never heard of the name Stagionello, I'm going to put a link to their company in the description box below. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in today's episode talking about the Stagionello. We're going to do that in other episodes, but let me just say that this is the most ridiculous and extraordinary dry curing cabinet that I've ever seen. I don't believe there's another dry curing cabinet like this one in the world, and I can't wait to see how it operates. And as far as the patina, let me tell you a little bit of the inspiration behind that. About 10 months ago, we got a comment regarding the Biltong salami. In season 5 of Celebrate Sausage, we made a salami with Biltong flavors, and it was absolutely delicious. Well, this particular comment was asking whether or not you could take that same recipe or a version of that recipe and make Biltong patina, but instead of coating it with polenta, which is what patina typically is coated with, you would coat it with black pepper or coriander and have a Biltong version of that. It's no casing, meatball, but flavored like Biltong. And I loved it. I thought that was a great idea. Biltong is by far one of my favorite dry cured meats. The Biltong salami was even better. And so today we're going to be making traditional Northern Italian patina. Got to make that. We're also going to be making a Biltong version of patina. And then, of course, we are going to be making a Southern Italian Calabrian style patina. We've tweaked the recipes, so we've got all new recipes for these, and you'll find links to those recipes in the description box below. Okay, a lot of unknowns in today's episode. We've got new recipes that we're trying out. We've got a chamber that I've literally never even turned on. I mean, I've just cleaned it all out. And so this whole episode could turn into a disaster. And this is the final episode for Season 6 of Celebrate Sausage. So regardless of the outcome, I am publishing today's episode. And at the end of this video, we both get to see together how the Stagionello performed. Before we get into the recipe, I just want to remind you that today is the giveaway for the Smokin' It Model 3.5 Professional Edition Convection Wi-Fi Digital Smoker. So if you have not thrown your name into the hat to be registered for the drawing, there's still time. I'm going to put a link to the video that you need to go check out. It's episode 18, the andouille sausage video. Absolutely amazing sausage, great episode. Anyway, go watch that video. It's going to have all the details on what you need to do to enter this giveaway. I hope you win. All right, let's make patina 3 ways. We're starting off with the South African Biltong patina. And if you have ever made Biltong before, you'll recognize this cut. This is the bottom round, also known as the silver side. Now you could use whatever cut of beef you want for this particular salami. And what I'm looking for is a total fat content of about 30%. So we're going to be adding fat to this here in a minute. A little bit of knife work here for today's project. Gotta admit, loving the new chef knife. This is the 8-inch classic Shun from bestkitchenknives.com. I'll put a link in the description box if you need to upgrade your cutlery. Razor sharp, that's awesome. All right, so we're making a bigger batch than normal. So what I'm doing is I'm just weighing out all the protein, all the fat, and I'm just going to put them in separate bins. This is beef fat that we're going to be using. And if you check the description box, you'll find a link to a printable recipe, adjustable quantities. And there we go, our beef fat is ready. And now we're going to process the ingredients for the Italian patina. For these, we're going to keep the proteins pretty much the same. I've got back fat, a little pork belly. We're going to be using some pork shoulder and then a little beef. And if you want to mix and match the proteins, maybe change the quantity of what you use. It's completely up to you. For the Italian patinas, we're trying to shoot for anything between a 20 and 25% fat content. But if you want to do 30%, totally acceptable. All right, here's our beef. Here's our beef fat. Very excited about the Biltong patina. That'll be fun. We also have the pork shoulder. And notice I cut everything up in little chunks. That's just easily going to fit into my grinder. There's our pork belly and then our pork back fat. Beautiful. All that's going to go into the freezer to chill while we look at our spices. This is going to be our classic Northern Italian patina. We've got garlic, and we're going to add that to our wine. All right, we're just going to let that sort of infuse for a little while. We've got salt, Instacure #1, and black pepper. We are going to be adding a little crushed fennel seed. And to complement the fennel seed, we're going to be following that up with some fennel pollen. Fennel pollen is an amazing ingredient for dry cured meats. It really
brings out that floral and sweet quality of the pollen. We need a touch of sugar to feed the bacteria that we're going to be adding, so we're going to be using dextrose. We got to be careful how much we add because we don't want to over-acidify it. We have wine, and wine does have fermentable sugars as well. So I am reducing the amount of dextrose that I typically add to compensate for the wine in this recipe. Let's look at the Southern Italian patina, and I'm loving the vibrant colors that this is offering. Absolutely gorgeous. We got a little wine, and use your favorite wine. If you want to go Southern Italian, get a nice Sicilian wine. Minced garlic, once again, we're going to be adding that to the wine. Let those flavors infuse. We have salt, Instacure number 1, black pepper, and we're going to be adding a little bit of fennel pollen. So not as much as the Northern Italian, just enough to just bring in that beautiful flavor. Like I said earlier, fennel pollen just dry cures extremely well. This is going to be a Calabrian pepper forward piece of charcuterie. So we have both sweet and hot Calabrian pepper. This pepper powder came from Stagionello, located in the region of Calabria of southern Italy, and I'm very excited to use it. This is the sweet variety. Just check out that color, just popping with freshness. And this is the hot variety, or the spicy variety. I've been using Calabrian pepper in our recipes for quite some time, and I just want to say that right out of the bag, I can immediately notice a quality difference between what we have here and what we've used in the past. This is dextrose. This is our fermentable sugar for our bacteria. And once again, we're reducing the amount of dextrose because we have a decent amount of fermentable sugars. I mean, I could probably get away with not adding dextrose. The wine has fermentable sugar, and the Calabrian pepper, both sweet and hot, have fermentable sugars as well. So the amount of dextrose that we're adding is something to the tune of like 0.05%. Anyway, the recipe will have the exact amount that we're using in the event that you want to make this at home. Our third version of patina is a nod to South Africa. This is a Biltong-inspired patina, and what we're doing is using the Biltong recipe from our website with just a very few modifications. Nothing too crazy. We've got salt, Instacure number 1, and a little Worcestershire sauce. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. We have black pepper and some toasted coriander seed. Now in Biltong, the black pepper and coriander flavor is pretty forward, and so notice we have quite a bit of both of those ingredients. I'm going to boost the coriander flavor with a little coriander powder, and for the fermentable sugars, we're going to be adding some dark brown sugar. I think this is going to add such a great flavor to our Biltong patina. And then we have a little dextrose, and I did reduce the amount of dextrose to compensate for some of the brown sugar. I think I used 0.075% or something like that. Let's get the coriander ready, and then we can move on to the culture. You could use whatever starter culture you have on hand. We're going to be using Flavor of Italy. And remember, every culture has its own parameters. The culture we're using here is a relatively fast acidifying culture, which is one of the reasons that I like it. But you could use FLC on the cooler temperature side. You could also use TSPX. Like I said, it doesn't really matter. You just want to use a starter culture that produces a nice Mediterranean, Italian-style flavored salami. Nothing too acidic, all right? All three have the exact same amount, and the amount of culture that we used for each one will be in the recipe link provided below. We're going to grind the salami on a 6mm plate using the number 32 grinder from the sausage maker. You want to make sure that your plate and knife are sharp. So I just run my fingers on those, and if my fingers catch, then I know it's sharp. Same thing with the blade. If it's very, very smooth, you might want to give it a sharp. And then, of course, before I use it, I just want to give it a very light spritz with a neutral oil, and that's going to reduce the friction between the plate and the blade. Same thing on the auger, just a little spritz right there where the auger connects to the grinder, and that's going to reduce the friction, reduce the heat that's generated by the grinder. And believe it or not, it actually makes a difference. I don't show it in every video, but I certainly do it every time I grind meat. Great practice to get into. I'm making 20 pounds of each flavor, so as far as the mixer goes, we're using a planetary mixer. This is a 20-liter planetary mixer. And first in goes the starter culture. Once you add the starter culture, the rest of the ingredients you can add whenever you want. Garlic and wine in. And then, of course, we're going to be adding our spices. If you're going to use a planetary mixer, like I'm doing here to mix your meat, which, don't get me wrong, it is great. It comes together super fast. You just got to watch the meat because you can very easily overmix the farce and it will split. Right at the last minute, we decided to add our savory ingredient. Adding savory to literally anything makes it taste better. That is an incredible flavor enhancer. This is what it looks like. If you need to pack for yourself, I'll put a link in the description box below. Look at the Calabrian mix. Absolutely beautiful. I'm loving the Calabrian peppers from Stagionello, I got to be completely honest. And finally, we have our Biltong patina. So we already have our starter culture coming in with the spices, and now the Worcestershire sauce. And to finish it up, you know we're going to add that savory. This product is already going to be delicious. Why not make it ridiculously delicious? That's what I'm talking about. In an orbital mixer, this comes together in less than 3 minutes, depending on the temperature of your batter. And all we want this to be is incredibly sticky. It should stick to the bottom of your hand when you turn your hand upside down. And I am loving that. So we've got our Calabrian mix, the North Italian mix. This is what that's going to look like. And then we're finishing it up with our Biltong mix. All that's left to do is portion these out and finalize the process by turning them into patina balls. When I make this, I usually weigh these balls out to about 200 grams a piece. You don't have to do it that way. You could weigh it out to whatever you want. You can make them bigger. Just remember, the bigger they are, the longer they're going to take to dry. And so you have to monitor that. And then once we're done, I'm going to just form them into beautifully shaped meatballs, just like that. The general process for making the North and South Italian patina is going to be fairly similar. We've got our bowls, and our second station is going to be a little bowl of wine, whatever wine you like, and some polenta, and that's it. With the left hand, I'm going to dip the ball, so in this case it's the Calabrian style, in the wine and make sure that the wine completely coats the outside of that meatball. And with my right hand, we're going to coat that meatball with the polenta. So the left hand is kind of the wet hand, the right hand is the dry hand, and once you have it completely coated, you can set it to the side because you are officially done. That's it. It's a pretty simple process. Depending on how much you make, it can be a little laborious. This is the Northern Italian patina. The process is the exact same. Now, one thing I did but I didn't talk about was I put the polenta in the oven at about 350 degrees for 5 to 10 minutes. I basically wanted the temperature of the polenta to get up to 170 degrees Fahrenheit to kill off any kind of wild molds that might be on it. Once we're done, we're going to place this into our dry curing chamber. And this is the first time I'm using this dry curing chamber, so I'm pretty excited about it. Notice that I did put down some silicone sheets on those racks. Come to find out, I really didn't need them. And matter of fact, they hindered the process, so I'll be removing those in a minute. Now for the third and final version of patina, we're making the Biltong patina. In the first two, we used polenta as the coating for the patina, but for the Biltong version, we're going to be using toasted coriander that's been lightly crushed along with black pepper. Now, I don't want to turn this into a powder. Finer is a little bit better. I could have probably gone a little bit finer, but for what we're doing now, this is fine. And to that, we added coarsely ground black pepper. How much you add is completely up to you. For the dip, we're not going to be using wine. We're going to be using Worcestershire sauce. I think that that's going to make a nice coating, and it's going to give us a really great flavor. So there we go. That's our station for the Biltong. And at this point, we're going to do the exact same process. Left hand, we dip the meatball into the Worcestershire sauce, and the right hand coats the meatball in our spice mix. It's time to ferment this patina, and today we're going to be fermenting this a little different. Notice the Stagionello already comes with a pH meter. It's connected to the device. I'm going to give it a quick rinse and a wipe with something called a Kim wipe. This is from Kimtech, and we're now going to just insert it into one of our patina meatballs. So if this was a typical salami and it had a casing, I'd want to puncture it first as to not damage the probe, but because this is a caseless salami, I can just stick it right into that meat, and I am going to weave that through the rack above it so that the rack can help support the probe during the drying process. This inserts incredibly easy into our patina ball, and now the fermentation process can begin. One unique feature that the Stagionello dry curing device has is that you can add flavor or aroma to your charcuterie. Right here we have a very concentrated, very high quality liquid smoke. And so we're going to be infusing our patina with this smoke flavor. It's an incredible process. Now we're only making about 60 pounds. The Stagionello can hold about 220. So I'm just going to put about a half a cup of this liquid smoke into a half a bin of water and see how that works. This is a bit of a trial and error thing since it's the first time I've used it. And if we need to go heavier, then next time we'll add more liquid smoke, just play around with it. This is going to go into the machine and we're going to turn the machine on. So let's click customer. And for what we want to do here, we want to click climactic recipes, and we'll go over the other options in other videos. So when we click climactic recipes, you'll get my recipe, default recipes, and create a recipe. More than likely, I'm going to have to create a recipe for patina because I'm guessing they don't already have one, but check out the presets of the recipes that they do have. Fiocchiona, Salami Napoli, Nduja, one of my favorite. Mortadella, there we go. Okay, that's an interesting recipe to have. You've got prosciutto, coppa, lonza guanciale, culatello, speck. Okay, wow, that's exciting. What we need to do is we need to find a recipe that best mimics what we're trying to make here. And then we can later go in and make our own recipe. So I think for this one, we're going to make the salami calabrese. We're going to utilize that recipe and see how it works. Like I said, this is just a test. Eventually, I'm just going to create my own patina recipe, and then we'll just click patina, and it'll be good to go. But this is what we're looking at. Notice the phase. We're in phase 1 of 11. Stewing is the fermenting phase. We have 20 hours, and we just got started, so we got 19 hours left. Notice the pH of our meat is 5.9, and the set point is listed at 5.8. Our temperature is set to be at around 73.4, which is a little lower than I normally like. Normally for flavor of Italy, I like to go a little hotter, but for right now, we're just going to leave it as is. And then the humidity set point is 80%. Now, at any moment, you could go in, change the temperature, humidity, the set point on the pH, and I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. I do want to add flavor, right? So during the initial stages of drying, your salami is going to be the wettest, it's going to be the softest, and that's the best time to incorporate whatever flavor you're going to be adding. So in this case, we're going to be doing smoke, but you could do soy sauce, fish sauce, you could do rose water, truffle oil, sesame oil. It really doesn't matter. You could do oil-based or water-based flavors with the Stagionello dry curing device. And I'm going to set it to go off for 10 minutes. The salami calabrese does not have a flavor setting incorporated into it, so we're going to just be doing this manually. But when we do create the patina recipe, we will set the flavor option to happen automatically. And this is how it injects flavor. This is how it infuses that smoke. It vaporizes it through the fumatic system of the Stagionello, and you have microfine particles of, in this particular case, smoke coating the entire surface of our charcuterie. We're at the tail end of our fermentation cycle. 3 hours remaining out of 20. The pH has dropped from 5.9 to 5.5, and the humidity's been hovering, about 80%. What I love about the system is that even though you use a preset, you can go in and just manually change the parameters at any time. So right now the temperature is set to 73.4, which is typically lower than I use for flavor of Italy. So we're going to bump that up to 85 Fahrenheit. And it's going to give me an 84.9. Totally fine with that, not a problem. So the next 3 hours, we're going to ferment at 85 Fahrenheit and see where that ends up. I am going to change the set point to, 5.2. And during this early stage of fermentation, all that set point is doing is monitoring. So if you get outside of a range, it's going to give you an alarm. It's not necessarily there to help control. Once you get into the drying stage, that set point is there to help control. So you're going to get some micro fluctuations in your humidity, your airflow, your venting, and your resting stage and things like that. So right now it's just simply monitoring the pH during this first cycle. So we're going to let it do its thing. All right, we just finished phase 1. Notice right there it says we're now into phase 2 of 11. It literally just started. My pH is at 5.2, so that elevated temperature allowed it to ferment a little bit faster than normal. Now into phase 2, we have different set points. So for phase 2, I'm going to set my target to 5.1. Notice the humidity. Humidity set point at 65%. That's very interesting. I don't think I've ever set my humidity to 65%, and I'm not going to touch it. I want to see what happens with the humidity and temperature settings. The way we usually do it is after fermentation, we put it into a dry curing chamber at 55 degrees Fahrenheit, but notice the temperature. So in this first phase of drying, basically stage 2 of this process, the temperature is still relatively high, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's incredibly interesting. And like I said, I'm not going to touch it. This is the best dry curing cabinet that money can buy. And so there's obviously a very good reason for these presets. We'll explore that a little bit later. For right now, I just want to see how it affects our patina. So we're now on to phase 3. pH dropped to 5.1. The temperature's still pretty high, 68 Fahrenheit. It only dropped 1 degree. And the set point for humidity is 67%. Very different than what we normally do. We're now on phase 6, and notice the pH. So we went from a 5.1, and then through the process, we're now increasing our pH. We're at 5.4. Fascinating. Our temperature is 61 degrees, and our set point for humidity is 73%. Through this whole process, the humidity has been much lower than we typically set it under normal circumstances. But you know what? Like I said, we're doing this together. We're going to see what comes of it. We are now in the second to last phase. This is the curing phase. Notice the temperature. We're finally in the 50s after 11 days of running the cycle. My pH has risen to 5.7. Interesting. And the humidity set point is 73%. I love coming out here and watching the Stagionello work because I feel like it's teaching me something new about salami making. During the first 9 phases, the temperature basically would drop 1 degree each day until it got down to about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. The system would automatically go into these recovery modes where everything would just pause, almost as if it was giving the meat a break. Very nice, very gentle. Another really interesting element is that the humidity set point outside of fermentation, so that first 24 hours where it was 80%, the rest of the time, it's never gone above 73%, which is something I've never done. I will say that the Stagionello dry curing device is known for precisely controlling the climate inside that chamber. Airflow, humidification, dehumidification, temperature, all working together. 25 days have now passed since we've begun the process. Or as you can see right here, a total of 600 hours. And what I'm doing is I'm monitoring the weight. So we've officially hit that 38% weight loss and our patina is done. The reason the salami calabrese has more time left is because that particular salami is a wider diameter and needs more time to dry. So when we write our own program, we're going to schedule it so that it finishes a little bit sooner based off of today's results. So let's pull that patina and see how the Stagionello dry curing cabinet performed. We're going to cut into the northern Italian patina first. Oh, wow. I love the way this slices. Skinless salami, just coated in polenta. Beautiful finish, great color. All right, let's cut into the Biltong patina. Oh, wow. This is the Calabrian. Loving the way that looks. Evenly dried from edge to edge. No case hardening. This is literally perfect results. I couldn't be happier. The truth is, my mind's kind of blown because I'm trying to process the different climactic conditions that the Stagionello gave me versus what I would have typically done.
All right, guys, we're going to start off with the more traditional North Italian patina. Just looks incredible. The Stagionello dry curing chamber. This is the first project that we've done in it, and the results are spectacular. What I'm most impressed by, I mean, there's a lot of things that the unit does that's extraordinary, but I'm very impressed with how long it took to get us to the final result. Normally, this will take anywhere between 30 2 to 34 days to get to the target loss. We were able to get to our target in about 25% less time. We finished at about 25, 26 days. Absolutely amazing. Do we suffer in the flavor department because it finished 25% sooner? We'll find out here in a second. I'm very familiar with how patina at 32 days tastes like. So we're going to give this a taste and see how we did in the Stagionello traditional North Italian patina. Here we go. Wow. I know what my patina tastes like. 32 days, in essence, a week longer, developing flavor. Wow. I don't even know where to begin. The amount of flavor development from the pork is exponentially greater than the patina that I typically make that takes a little bit longer. As a business, it's kind of cool to know that I could produce at least this product 25% faster and not sacrifice the flavor. That's pretty exciting. Okay, let's try the Calabrian Southern Italian patina. This is going to be Calabrian pepper forward. The Calabrian pepper that we used came from Stagionello, came from Calabria. So, see how we did here. That's such a good pepper. And I got to admit, we've tried a lot of different varieties of, whew, that's spicy too. We've tried a lot of different varieties of Calabrian pepper, some from Craft Butcher's Pantry, some from Amazon. This particular version of Calabrian pepper is probably the freshest that I think that I've ever used. It's definitely got more punch to it. It's smokier. Those fruity notes are definitely coming in. The spice level is absolutely beautiful. I find that the hot is definitely spicier than some of the other Calabrian pepper versions. The texture of the pepper was pretty fine as well, but the overall flavor that it imparts is absolutely delicious. Wow. We are 2 for 2 with our patina, and I got to tell you, between the North Italian traditional and the South Italian Calabrian, hard to pick one. They're both delicious, but we got one more to go. We've got a South African Biltong patina. This is what we've got. Our South African Biltong patina, 100% beef, coriander black pepper forward. It smells just like Biltong. Absolutely amazing. Dried beautifully too, by the way. Look at that, edge to edge. No casing. All we did was had black pepper and coriander seed around, some of which already fell off. But let's give it a bite and see how we did. Wow, that tastes exactly like Biltong. The only difference between Biltong and this Biltong patina is that the chew is 100% tender. We don't have any drier edges and tender centers, whereas traditional Biltong has a drier edge, and depending on how long you dry it, the center tends to be a little more tender. But this 100% throughout, edge to edge, is super tender. It's super flavorful. That's amazing. Wow, that's good. I love taking the elements of Biltong and putting it into charcuterie because we can boost the fat content. Where I live, the cows are a little on the lean side. So for me, it's a little tricky to get a piece of silver side that's nice and fatty. They also tend to kill them pretty young, and so finding yellow fat is pretty challenging. But turning it into a patina or a salami, I get to add the fat into it. and it just makes for such a great product. All right, let's go in for another bite here. I'm gonna go in for a little of this Calabrian action. That's what I'm talking about. Hard to decide which one I like the most. That's delicious. Wow. We're going for the classic one last time. Wow, that smells just right. Wow, that's good. All three of these are delicious in their own way. The classic Northern Italian patina, made in the Stagionello, 25 days. I'm loving the flavor development. I didn't get this with the 31-day patina we made in our DIY cabinet. So it is interesting that one, phase during the drying cycle, basically half of the time this salami dried, it was in elevated temperatures. That's something I normally don't do. Real quick, show of hands, how many of you watching this video have learned something new about the art of dry curing meats? Because I know I have. And truth is, it was the Stagionello dry curing cabinet that actually taught me this new element of the craft. I used to view dry curing meats, and I say used to, I'm talking within a week ago, I used to view this particular craft as a very linear event. Grind the meat, season it, mix it, stuff it, ferment it, dry it. There we go. Grind, season, mix, stuff, ferment, dry. Once you hit your target weight loss, you're done. And that's it. A very linear event. And what the Stagionello taught me was that dry curing meats is not a very linear event. Weather is not static. It's constantly fluctuating. There's breaks, there's events, there's fluctuations constantly. And all of these little changes that happen naturally, changes that are very difficult to do in a DIY chamber, if I had to be completely honest, I got to see come to life in the Stagionello dry curing cabinet. Slight changes in airflow, humidification, dehumidification, increase, decrease, holding that elevated temperature after fermentation for, in this case, it was like 10 days, and then gradually bringing that temperature down till we finally got to the actual drying phase. Very gentle, the meat's not being stressed out, it's very gradual. Whereas before, it's, ferment dry, very stressful, very aggressive. 90 degrees, 55 degrees, right? Manipulation of the pH. The Stagionello is doing all these micro adjustments, creating all these climates, moving that pH around depending on what our target is. And all of that is translating to flavor. I don't even know what to say about that. Like, I'm still trying to wrap my brain around just that element of this particular dry curing cabinet. I can say that aroma and flavor-wise, this thing is off the chart. I mean, in 25 days, we're starting to pull those cheesy, nutty qualities that, now they're very subtle, don't get me wrong, but we never had cheesy, nutty without mold on the 31-day patina. We're starting to pull that from the meat. Now, typically those flavors you don't normally get until you've aged something for 6 months, higher than 6 months. That's when you start to really pull in those beautiful aged flavors. I feel like this is probably a little more in tune with what traditional patina is going to taste like, because we made it, although with technology, in a very traditional atmosphere. I'm sorry, I am literally blown away right now. Wow. I'm going to put a recipe link in the description box below for all three versions of this patina. And let me just tell you, they are all worth making. The Calabrian Pepper patina, it's bold, it's fruity, it's spicy, smoky, which brings to mind something we haven't really talked about, smoked patina. Normally, traditional patina is smoked. You would coal smoke it for an extended period of time, and that would not only give it a beautiful smoky flavor, but it would also preserve your meat. Well, we didn't do that, as you saw in today's video. We just stuck everything in the Stagionello and utilized the fumatic system to infuse the smoke flavor onto these patina while they were still young. During the early stages of fermentation, that's when we were running that fumatic system. And I'm finding the flavor to be actually quite pleasant. It's well-rounded, it's mild, it's not overly exaggerated. It certainly doesn't taste synthetic in any way. It's not as strong as if we were to have actually smoked it for, let's say, 12, 13, 18 hours straight, which is to be expected. Now, I do believe that we can increase that smoke flavor, so that this is trial and error is what it's going to come down to, but we can increase the smoke flavor by adding more liquid smoke into the bin, right? Not diluting it as much, and then increasing the amount of either time or frequency of events that we have injecting that smoke into the chamber. As it stands right now, I kind of like it. It's there. It's not kind of screaming at you, and it certainly adds a really beautiful complexity to this amazing charcuterie. All right, guys, what a way to end Celebrate Sausage Season 6. A lot of great recipes, a lot of fun recipes this year. Very excited. I know I'm personally going to be ramping up production on a couple of these sausage recipes. They were just absolutely delicious. Let me know in the comment section below which episode was your favorite. And if you've had a chance to already get into some of the recipes and make them to completion, and of course taste them, which one did you like the most? Don't forget, and if this is the first video that you've seen from our channel, you might want to listen up, because today at midnight, we are giving away a Smokin' It Model 3.5 Professional Series Digital Wi-Fi Convection Smoker. Very similar to the smoker that we used here in this series, just a little bit smaller. Let me tell you, this is a game-changing smoker. We've used the Smokin' It brand exclusively for over 10 years. The convection system is absolutely mind-blowing. You're going to see a lot of videos on this channel showing how to use that convection system and really maximize your results. And check this out. Steve, if you're watching this video, drop me a comment and let people know what you think about the 3.5 Professional Series smoker that you won from Season 5. Steve was the lucky winner last year, and this year, I hope that it's you. If you want information, maybe you don't even know how to enter. If you want information on how to enter, check the pinned comment. Check the description box, and I'll even put a video suggestion right here. But basically, head on over to the andouille sausage episode. You're going to find all the information that you need in that video. It is not too late to register. Like I said, I hope you win. If you want any information on the Stagionello Dry Curing Cabinet, I mean, this thing is breathtaking, craftsmanship at its finest. It is truly a work of art. I'm going to put a link to their USA division in the description box below. Give them a holler, talk to Mike. He's going to answer any question that you might have. This unit is absolutely incredible, especially great if you want to take your craft to a completely different level, maybe even start a small business. I cannot wait to explore the different possibilities. I mean, we've just made one thing in it. I'm blown away. What this thing can actually do is even more impressive than what we saw today, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. We're going to experience it together. So I hope you enjoyed Celebrate Sausage Season 6 as much as I enjoyed making it, and let me know if you'd like to see a Season 7. And I can't believe we're already talking about Season 7. How crazy. You know, it takes almost a year to produce all these episodes for the show, and often I think, maybe we should kill it. Maybe we should just stop at Season 6. But this is a series that's largely determined by your feedback. And each year you guys scream, we want more sausage. So how do you let me know? Comment on every video. Go back, watch all the videos again, drop me a comment, give all the videos a thumbs up, and don't forget to share them. All of those methods send me little signals. They help inspire me to get ready, to get creative for another year of sausage. I've actually got some really cool ideas if we're going to do a Season 7. Like I said, it's up to you. Great big thanks to everyone who contributed to this year's show. I'm going to put a link to the unique videos and a link to the social media profiles for everyone who contributed. You definitely want to check out their videos. And when you get a minute, head over to whatever platform they use. Give them a follow, give them a subscribe, and just keep up to date with what these guys are doing. Some very inspiring work in the sausage making community. Big thanks to the sponsors of the show. And of course, the Two Guys in a Cooler producers, aka our patrons. Without you guys, the show would not be possible. So an immense amount of gratitude goes out to the patrons. If you'd like to be a producer for the Two Guys in a Cooler channel, check the description box below. Like I said, tons of information in there, and you will find a link to our Patreon where you can jump on board and have direct access to me and contribute to massive and incredible projects just like this. That's it. Thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow. Almost forgot. We got a bonus episode. Same time, same place here on the Two Guys in a Cooler channel. And I got to tell you before we sign off, I am reinvigorated. I cannot wait to see what the rest of 2025 and 2026 will hold for this craft of sausage making and dry curing meats, because I am incredibly excited. I feel like I have an entirely new perspective, like I've leveled up in this craft, and I can't wait to just share all of that experience with you. Got 3 pieces here in front of me. We're gonna go north, we're gonna go south, and we're gonna go south. We're gonna make a little patina sandwich here. See you tomorrow. I gotta admit, that's a bit strange. All right, maybe we'll just do one at a time.